Holy crap. I turned 26 and I live in New York now. Truth is, though, I don't often travel to the city, so for my birthday I decided to pull out all the stops that my graduate assistantship money could afford, which meant starting my trip waiting in line at the Greyhound bus station and booking a 50-square-foot room at the Jane Hotel. Though I genuinely loved this hotel. The private cabin room was way nicer than the youth hostels I stayed at in Europe, and had admirably efficient storage. Plus, the hotel had a Wes Anderson theme to it with costume bellmen, a Havana-inspired cafe, and a lounge that looked like it belonged to a branch of the Tenenbaums. Through pure serendipity, it turned out that my friend Jared had arrived in the city a day before I did on his way to Israel.
Jared!
We trekked through Central Park together, taking the requisite selfies and future Tinder profile photos before being mistaken for husband and wife. Seriously, I'm wearing a Pikachu shirt, not a wedding ring. But we did have a great time together. Unfortunately, I didn't film any of our exploits after having dinner in Chinatown, but rest assured, it involved many glasses of amber liquid and a cigar bar dressed up like a library. I was so grateful to get a chance to meet up with Jared and spend time with someone who's known me for as long as I've been a legal adult. But this trip, in so many ways, was a gift to myself. I wore the biggest grin on my face while walking the 1.45 miles of the High Line, because I almost could not believe I was in a place in my life where I could go off traveling and have such a novel experience with nothing more than the desire to do it. Being in the city by myself meant experiencing it at my pleasure, which meant I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, like getting something from a falafel cart across the street from the Theodore Roosevelt Memorial. While I didn't consciously plan for it to become a tradition, I spent part of my birthday visiting yet another natural history museum.
What can I say? I like the sheer amount of stuff natural history museums keep carefully curated and organized. Like, it's just loads and loads of just stuff everywhere. There was a whole wing of Aztec and Mayan artifacts I completely bypassed trying to find the exit closest to the subway.
So it had its own collections of scary dinosaurs and cool dinosaurs and mammoths, but I found that what the American Museum of Natural History truly specializes in was monsters. Like, seriously. Fish monsters, frog monsters, sloth monsters. It totally makes me appreciate the evolutionary forces that made it so that we don't have to inhabit the Earth at the same time as these things. And for anyone wanting to call me out on my very unscientific labels, the name of this is literally Greek for tongue beast. And this is a Mastodonsaurus giganteus, so basically, toad monster. After that, I braved the subway once more, returned to my hotel for a nap, and then went on a walk to burn off a dinner of fish tacos and margaritas. But I didn't really want to work too hard, so I found myself a nice place to sit and watch the light leave the sky and the city take the night. I also popped up to the hotel's swanky rooftop bar, which had a great view, but unable to imbibe any further, I didn't stick around very long. I went to bed, and bright and early the next day, I went down to visit the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. My Uber dropped me off a street over, but it wasn't too hard to find. When you get near enough, you can hear the fountains, designed to drown out the sounds of the city with the endlessly falling water and the massive twin reflecting pools. The first time I came to New York City was in 2006, before construction of the memorial began, and Ground Zero was little more than a cleared-out crater with flowers and tokens hung around the perimeter. Being in the museum was tougher than I expected. I was surprised and moved that they had kept so much. That people had the presence of mind in the years that followed to mark surviving pieces of the building to save it. Save this, so it can be remembered. It was a lot to process, and I appreciated that along with the museum maps and guides, they included a booklet of how to explain 9/11 to children. Because how do you explain to someone without a frame of reference that those beautiful fountains used to be buildings? More than anything, the memorial is a place of reflection, which is valuable at a time when London suffered another terrorist attack just a few days before my visit. It is for remembrance of the past and reflection for the future. This was an incredible trip, and it is an incredible city in which I did a ton of walking, a total of 54,593 steps to be precise. But the amazing thing about New York City is that you don't mind the walking because it brings you to the places that informs the visual language of film while being so much closer to reality than anything that gets shot in Hollywood. They were filming something even as I was making my way to Pomfrites. I hope I acted appropriately West Coastian in the way I was more interested in my fries sauce selection than I was for whatever they were filming. The city is not just a place you visit, but it's also a place where people live, and green spaces are wonderfully maintained along with the city's history. Just the act of getting an ice cream brought me past the Stonewall Inn. New York City is alive, and I enjoyed every amazing second of my trip. Especially because I avoided Times Square. That place sucks.